Good morning, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Munif, and I'm here to talk to you about New Lab and the Mining Innovation Studio. So thank you all for coming. So just to start, New Lab is a global venture platform for critical technology startups. What does that mean? It basically means our mission is to actually accelerate the commercialization and let's say advancement of critical technologies within high impact industrial sectors. Specifically, if you look at mining, mobility, logistics, energy, built environment, and we cover all of these sectors. But today we're going to be talking about mining mainly. So essentially what we're trying to do is lower the barriers to entry for all of these startups. What does that mean? We try to provide them with the infrastructure needed in order to scale and grow. We try to provide them with the customers and access to capital as well. So in reducing the barriers to entry, what does that actually mean? We provide technical infrastructure, which is basically accessing to piloting sites and shops and labs to help reduce the development timelines for real-world testing and deployment. We provide access to the startups to have access to commercialization projects, where we partner with industry partners and governments so that they can actually pilot their technologies and proof of concept of the technologies, after which we actually invest high-risk capital into those startups as well. Our model tries to align public and private resources to catalyze that startup ecosystem in strategic geographies. So specifically, if you look at from the left-hand side all the way to the right-hand side, specifically, we start with applied research to tech transfer and formation, lab to pilot, and then pilot to demonstration, and then finally commercialization. Across all of them, we try to provide several levers for the startups that can actually capitalize on, whether it's blended capital, starting from the bottom to the top, blended capital, access to incentives, policies and regulations, whether that's sandboxes and whatnot, offtake and commercialization agreements, providing the shared infrastructure that I was talking about earlier, and then finally establishing that manufacturing and supply chain for the companies. So our model has been proven. We have a global track record of helping the startups scale faster. So if we look at some of the numbers on the right-hand side, in 2023 and 2024 alone, 42% of our pilots have advanced towards commercialization. Our startups have actually raised $6.5 billion in 2023 alone. We raised almost $600 million just from January until August. These are the different models in terms of providing mergers and acquisitions, tech licensing, POs, investments by partner, whether it's joint ventures and whatnot. Since 2017, we've launched almost 110 pilots, and our companies have achieved around 32 exits. So you probably can't see it here. This is actually a map. Our outcomes basically, scale faster through a place-based model. In all of these geographies, whether it's Detroit, we started in Brooklyn, now we have in Detroit, and then currently in Riyadh. We also have in Uruguay. We try to translate everything we do into economic impact, whether that's job creation, establishment, and commercialization. These are some of the technology startups that we've actually invested in. Safe AI, actually, the first one on the left, they're here today. They're actually in our booth. They're at the beginning of where New Lab booth is. So again, talking about the place-based model, we try to provide access to infrastructure, and that includes labs, shops, machine shops, where the startups can actually work on prototypes, can actually build those prototypes. They can actually go ahead and work on them so that they can come up with that minimum viable product. We have offices, as I said, in Brooklyn and Detroit, Montevideo, and currently we're expanding to Riyadh as well. So in terms of the projects that we actually launched, we've partnered with 60 plus industry and government partners across different geographic locations. As I said earlier, we launched over 100 plus pilots, where more than 30% have advanced towards commercialization. This is an example of a company called Mythos AI that does port mapping in different ports, and they were doing it in the Port of Michigan at the Port of Monroe. That piloting actually yielded in an $8 million sales pipeline. So in terms of infrastructure, the piloting sites that I was giving an example on the left-hand side, you can see the company Mythos AI doing that port mapping. We try to provide that piloting sites for all startups so that they can actually test all of these things. Partnering with government is also a crucial part in terms of providing that regulatory framework and zone. For instance, in Detroit, we were provided with a transportation innovation zone where we can do pilots across that entire zone on the right-hand side. So we believe New Lab Riyadh will create that magnet for global talent and high-velocity startups that will create billions in new value in the region. We're planning to focus on several sectors, even though currently, we're at the Future Minerals Forum, we're focusing on mining, but we're definitely going to be looking at all of these sectors moving forward. We're planning our platform will definitely drive startup across these key industrial sectors. As you all know, as part of the energy transition, there's this unprecedented demand on critical minerals, and that demand is actually driving that imperative for innovation in the mining sector. And we believe that the kingdom has structural advantages that can be leveraged to meet such demand. These are some of the areas that we're going to be focusing on as part of the KSA Mining Innovation Studio. The first part is actually discover and prospect more, which is basically accelerate the exploration identification of mineral resources. Develop and mine better, which is basically increasing the efficiency and productivity of mineral recovery. Operating sustainably across the entire value chain in terms of reducing emissions and whatnot. And then finally, recover, process, and refine minerals. The entire, let's say, processing part of minerals. Stay tuned. There's going to be some announcements in the coming days on the specific part in terms of public-private partnerships that we've developed. Finally, we have these 25 plus startups that are being represented here at the Future Minerals Forum. They are where the New Lab booth is, where the red carpet is. Look for the red carpet and you'll definitely find us. So we'd be more than happy for you to come and see and meet those startups so you can actually see the different technologies that they're actually working on. Because I'm a bit short on time, I have to conclude. Thank you all for your attendance and kind attention. I'll be more than happy to answer any few questions you might have on what New Lab does. All right. Do we need? Oh, yes. Sorry.
Hello.
Maybe tell them to project the slides again, just in case. Yeah.
Do you guys take projects on a global level or certain industries, regions?
So currently we've started in Brooklyn, New York, and we've expanded into Detroit, Uruguay, and depending on different geographies and the needs on those geographies, we're currently expanding into the kingdom, and that's why we're expanding here. There's definitely other markets that we're looking at, but our model relies on having a place-based model, which is basically building that infrastructure that you see, having the shops and labs, creating that
The whole physical
ecosystem,
place,
the,
yes,
the,
yeah.
the entire infrastructure of having the shops and labs where the startups can actually be housed. They can all work on prototyping. They can all work on piloting and helping those startups accelerate and commercialize.
When are you starting in Saudi? Any operation?
We've already been here for the past, 6 or 8 months. We're hoping to launch our beta space in this upcoming year in 2025.
You started taking projects in Saudi?
We're already in partnership with and talks and conversations with a lot of industrial partners. Yes, we do have a lot of upcoming projects coming up.
Thank you.
No problem. Can I go back in this or? Oh yes, perfect. Yeah, I'll leave this to. So going back to the point, having that place-based model, a unique one, will actually help drive that, let's say, traffic for startups. These are our offices in Detroit on the left-hand side. And even though they look like offices, but then within those offices, you'll see a lot of the shops and the labs that are on the right-hand side.
Yeah, hi. This is Sultan from Kext. Yeah, I would like to ask you about the startup companies. Do you have companies here, startup in Saudi Arabia, or still working?
For some reason, I can't hear your question.
I have a question about startup companies. Do you have startup companies here in Saudi Arabia, or still like in the process of initiate that kind of startup companies?
So, New Lab is a venture platform. We try to bring in startups from all over the world, whether in KSA or globally. Currently, we've seen a lot of interest from startups that are coming in from all over the world to come to the kingdom and operate here. But we're definitely asking all kinds of startups, locally and regionally, within the GCC and the broader MENA region, to actually come in and start working here in the kingdom. Yeah, no problem. Any additional questions? My email's here. Feel free to email me. Where is it? Feel free to email me if you have any questions. If you would like to know more about New Lab, we can tell you a little bit more about the projects that we're actually working on with the different industrial partners, and what we're trying to do in the kingdom in the coming months, inshallah.